wanted to make a commercial when I discovered that I was that sick. And that commercial that says simply, "Now that I'm gone, I tell you."
There are individuals who once made the entire world admire them through the big screen, where they transformed into powerful characters who seemed invincible. But behind those immortal roles lies a real-life story of choices, habits, and challenges that many audiences may never have known. The journey of these Hollywood legends is not just a tale of fame, but a reminder that time, health, and daily decisions can shape our lives. If you enjoy authentic stories about Hollywood, please hit like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications to explore more memorable journeys in our upcoming videos. There are faces that need only appear for a few seconds on screen for the audience to recognize them. Yul Brynner was one such special case. With his shaved head, sharp gaze, and confident aura, he created an image entirely distinct from many stars of his time. In The King and I, he was a proud king with a powerful presence. In The Magnificent Seven, he became the symbol of the cold, taciturn, yet decisive hero.
That same, within the half hour that followed her suggestion. It wasn't really, no, because it turned out well, because it could have turned out...
What made Brynner memorable was not just his unique appearance, but his ability to turn difference into an advantage. During the era of classic Hollywood, when many actors tried to follow familiar standards of appearance, Brynner built his own brand and proved that a strong personality could become an irreplaceable hallmark. However, his life behind the screen also reflected a part of Hollywood culture in decades past. Like many artists of that generation, Brynner had a long-standing habit of smoking for many years. At that time, cigarettes appeared commonly in films, interviews, and the daily lives of many celebrities.
Wanted to make a commercial when I discovered that I was that sick. That commercial that says simply, "Now that I'm gone, I tell you."
Toward the end of his life, Brynner faced lung cancer. Instead of just maintaining the glamorous image of a movie star, he decided to use his own story to convey a message to the public.
Now, this year there were many magnificent performances by actresses. In Sunrise at Campobello, Deborah Carr.
In the commercial recorded before his passing, he appeared with a much simpler image than his familiar roles and shared a warning about the harmful effects of smoking. That moment became one of the most memorable images of his career. A man who once played characters that were almost invincible appeared before the public with his own honesty. Yul Brynner's story is not just about a film legend, but also shows how an artist can turn personal experience into a meaningful message for future generations. What made a comedian become a part of the memory of millions of American families? For Jackie Gleason, the answer lay in his ability to create a special energy whenever he appeared on screen. In the role of Ralph Cramden in the television series The Honeymooners, Gleason built a character who was hot-tempered, humorous, and relatable to daily life. His strong expressions, booming voice, and energetic acting style helped him become one of the most prominent television artists of the 20th century.
I didn't have a drink. I had to cajole the nurse. She used to bring in one a day. And she'd stand out in the hall.
But fame also came with a highly pressured lifestyle. During many years of artistic activity, Gleason maintained a dense work schedule and had a heavy smoking habit, something quite common in the entertainment world at that time. Back then, many celebrities viewed cigarettes as part of their lifestyle, and they even appeared frequently in their public image. Over time, Gleason's health began to face more problems. In his final years, he faced cardiovascular-related illnesses and underwent medical treatment. The body that once helped him create energetic performances on stage no longer functioned as before. However, when looking back at Jackie Gleason's career, what audiences remember most is the laughter he brought. He was not just a comedian, but also one of those who helped shape the style of television comedy in America. Gleason's story reflects a special period in Hollywood and American television where many artists lived with habits that are viewed very differently today. But rising above the difficulties at the end of his life, his greatest legacy remains his ability to make audiences feel happy through every role. An icon may leave the stage, but the works they leave behind live on through time. Do you think Jackie Gleason deserves to be a comedy legend? Let us know your thoughts, and don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications to see more fascinating stories. A vast desert, a cowboy on horseback, and a distinctive deep voice. That is the image many audiences immediately associate with John Wayne. Over many decades, he became the face of the American Western film genre and a symbol of toughness on screen. With his prominent, height-confident demeanor and characteristic acting style, Wayne often portrayed characters who were upright, resilient, and always stood firm in the face of challenges. Movies like True Grit and The Searchers made his name an important part of American film history.
So why don't all of you do yourselves a favor? Get a checkup. Nag someone you love into getting a checkup. While you're at it.
But behind the Duke persona familiar to audiences was a human being who also had to face the choices and limits of real life. In the old Hollywood era, smoking was a very common image in the entertainment industry. Wayne also maintained this habit for many years alongside a work schedule spanning several decades. A major turning point came in 1964 when he was diagnosed with lung cancer. Wayne underwent a major surgery and then continued to return to work. That return reflected the very personality he often displayed on screen: persistent professional and not easily giving up. In his final years, Wayne's health continued to face many trials. He passed away in 1979, leaving behind a career spanning dozens of years with over 100 films. Today, when looking back at John Wayne, audiences not only remember legendary cowboy roles, but also see the story of a real person behind the character. He is a testament that even the greatest icons of the screen have their own battles outside the spotlight. Before becoming one of Hollywood's most beloved actors, Patrick Swayze spent many years training his body like a true performer. He not only acted, but was also a professionally trained dancer, which helped him create a distinct style in every role. In Dirty Dancing, audiences saw a captivating Patrick Swayze with the ability to combine acting and choreography. In Roadhouse, he displayed the image of a strong, decisive, and charismatic character. It was the combination of artistic talent and physical performance ability that helped him become one of the standout stars of the 1980s. But a successful career did not mean life was always easy. Outside the film set, Swayze had a long-term smoking habit, a habit he later had to face as his health changed. In 2008, he was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. This was a difficult period, but instead of withdrawing completely from the public, Swayze continued to work and maintained an optimistic spirit. He participated in new projects, shared his treatment journey, and showed the strength that had become a part of his image. Patrick Swayze passed away in 2009 at the age of 57, but his roles continued to be loved by audiences many years later. What remains in the memory of fans is not just a movie star, but an artist who always put passion and dedication first. His story reminds us that behind every Hollywood icon is a human being with choices, challenges, and a unique journey that the public does not always see. There was a time in Hollywood when actresses were often limited to certain archetypes, but Barbara Stanwyck was an exception. She was famous not for a gentle image or roles dependent on others, but for her ability to transform into independent, decisive, and strong-willed characters. Born into difficult circumstances, Stanwyck entered the entertainment industry early. and step by step built her position with her acting talent. From films like Double Indemnity to the television series The Big Valley, she proved that an actress could lead a story with her own magnetism. What was special about Stanwyck's career was that she belonged to a generation of artists who came of age in a very different era. Back then, many daily habits were considered more normal than they are today, and smoking was common in the film world. Stanwyck started smoking when she was very young and maintained the habit for many years. Although she decided to give up smoking in her final years, the influences of previous decades still left long-term effects on her health. In her final years, Stanwyck faced chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, COPD, a condition often related to long-term respiratory damage. However, when looking back at Barbara Stanwyck's life, what stands out most is her endurance. She was active in the arts for many decades, adapting to Hollywood's shift from film to television and becoming a role model for many generations of actors to follow. Her story is not just a tale of health difficulties and old age, but also reflects the changes of an entire industry. An artist can experience many different stages of life, but the roles and hallmarks they leave behind can still exist through many generations. Do you think Barbara Stanwyck deserves to be considered one of Hollywood's greatest actresses? Let us know your answer in the comments. If you enjoy stories like this, please like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications to support us. Humphrey Bogart. There are film icons identified by just a few small details. With Humphrey Bogart, it could be the trench coat, the cold gaze, and the cigarette that often appeared in classic film scenes. In Casablanca or The Maltese Falcon, Bogart created the image of a strong, mysterious, and somewhat indifferent man. He didn't need overt actions to attract attention. It was his calmness and characteristic acting style that turned him into one of Hollywood's biggest stars during the Golden Age. But what is interesting is that the image associated with Bogart also reflected the film culture of an era. In the 1930s, 1940s, and 1950s, cigarettes appeared frequently in movies. It was once seen as part of the style, maturity, and personality of many characters on screen. In real life, Bogart was also a smoker for many years and had a habit of using alcohol. Over time, his health began to face many issues. In 1956, he was diagnosed with esophageal cancer, a disease that seriously affected his ability to eat and live. Despite facing great difficulties, Bogart maintained the professionalism of an artist. He continued to appear before the public and maintained the calm, strong image that had become his brand. Humphrey Bogart passed away in 1957 at the age of 57. But his influence in cinema has never disappeared. Today, when mentioning him, audiences not only remember a talented actor, but also a film style that shaped an entire period of Hollywood. In American television history, very few characters have a style as special as Joe Friday in Dragnet. With a calm voice, serious attitude, and an evidence-based approach, this character became an icon of the investigative genre. The person behind that success was Jack Webb. He not only played the lead role, but was also deeply involved in the production process, helping to shape the unique style of the series. For Webb, precision and realism were always important factors in storytelling. What created the contrast in his life was that, despite frequently portraying an image of a person in control of every situation on screen, Webb in real life had to face complex health problems. He was born with asthma, a condition affecting the respiratory system. For many years, Webb maintained a smoking habit, even though this was something that could add pressure to an already sensitive respiratory system. Like many artists of his time, he worked in an environment where cigarettes were once very common. In his final years, Webb's cardiovascular health declined, and he had to undergo medical treatments. He passed away in 1982 at the age of 62. What is memorable about Jack Webb does not lie in the difficulties of his final years, but in the influence he created for American television. Dragnet changed the way investigative stories were presented on the small screen, and the character Joe Friday remains one of the most memorable television police figures. Some artists don't need a loud voice to conquer the audience. Julie London is a prime example. Her gentle, intimate, and slightly characteristic raspy voice helped her create a musical style that was unmistakable. The song "Cry Me a River" made Julie London one of the most beloved singers of the 1950s. Not only successful in music, she also had a notable acting career, especially through her role in the television series Emergency. The interesting thing is that the very characteristic of the voice that once made her famous was linked to a more complex story. London started smoking from a young age and maintained this habit for many years. At that time, smoking among artists was quite common and sometimes even seen as part of the performance image. Over time, her health underwent many changes. In 1995, London suffered a stroke affecting her mobility. Following that, she continued to face health problems related to the respiratory system. In her final years, the woman who once possessed one of the most seductive voices in America had to live with more limitations than before. Julie London passed away in 2000 at the age of 74, but her legacy remains invaluable. When listening back to Julie London's classic recordings, audiences can still feel the sophistication and emotion in her voice. Her story reminds us that behind every famous voice is always a real person with choices, experiences, and a unique journey. What is your impression of Julie London's voice and artistic journey? Share your feelings in the comments below. If you love stories about music icons and Hollywood, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next videos. There are artists who not only create success in their careers, but also become icons linked to an entire culture. Frank Sinatra is just such a name. When mentioning him, many audiences not only remember classic songs, but also a special demeanor, the elegant suit, confidence on stage, and a voice capable of touching the emotions of millions. Born in New Jersey, Sinatra began his career while swing music was developing strongly in the U.S. From a young singer in big bands, he gradually built his own name and became one of the most successful solo artists of the 20th century. The ability to control his voice, the way he handled every word, and his emotionally charged performance style helped him change how the public perceived the role of a singer. Not only successful in music, Sinatra also proved his acting ability through many prominent films. He won an Oscar for his role in From Here to Eternity and became one of the few artists who could achieve success in both music and cinema. However, Sinatra's life also reflected a part of old-era Hollywood culture. For many decades, cigarettes were very common in the lives of artists. Many stars saw smoking as part of their personal style, and Sinatra also maintained this habit for a long time. His image with a cigarette in hand once became a familiar part of performances, interviews, and everyday moments. Over time, Sinatra's health began to face many issues. He once had to face illnesses related to respiration, cardiovascular health, and was diagnosed with bladder cancer. In his final years, he gradually reduced public activities as age and health made life more difficult. Nevertheless, the story of Frank Sinatra should not only be remembered through his final challenges. His greatest legacy remains the music, the performance style, and the influence he left for many generations of artists to follow. Frank Sinatra is a testament to an era when stars were judged not only by talent, but also by the lifestyle and image they built before the public. And even as time passes, his voice continues to ring out as an indispensable part of American musical history. Before The Twilight Zone became one of the most influential television programs in history, Rod Serling was just a young screenwriter with a desire to tell different stories. He didn't just want to create simple entertainment works. He wanted to use television to pose questions about society, morality, and human nature. What made Serling special was his ability to combine imagination with very practical issues. The stories in The Twilight Zone could speak of the future technology or strange things, but behind them were often deep reflections on humanity. It was this approach that helped the program exceed the limits of an ordinary science fiction series. Besides his role as a screenwriter, Serling also became a familiar face to audiences through the introduction at the beginning of each episode. The image of the man in the suit standing before the camera with a calm voice became one of the iconic images of American television in the 1960s. But to maintain the position of a leading creator, Serling had to work with great intensity. He frequently wrote scripts, participated in production, and bore the pressure of having to continuously create new ideas. During that period, like many artists of his time, he had a smoking habit lasting many years. At that time, cigarettes still appeared frequently in the entertainment industry. It was not only present in the personal lives of many artists, but also became part of the image on screen. However, over time, these habits were viewed differently as research on health impacts became clearer. In his late 40s, Serling began to encounter serious cardiovascular problems. He underwent major surgeries to improve his health status, but finally passed away in 1975 at the age of 50. What remains after Rod Serling's short life is not the difficulties he once experienced, but the stories he left behind. He proved that television could not only bring entertainment, but also make audiences think about the very world they live in. Behind every classic work is always a human being with their own beliefs and perspective. What did Rod Serling leave in your heart? Share right below, and don't forget to hit like. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to explore more stories behind the screen with us. Today, the name Walt Disney is almost synonymous with imagination and childhood. Characters like Mickey Mouse, classic animated films, or famous amusement parks all originated from the vision of a man who completely changed the entertainment industry. But before becoming a global icon, Walt Disney was once a young filmmaker who had to face many failures. He continuously experimented with new ideas, believing that animation could become a serious form of storytelling and not just short segments for children. A major turning point came when he and his team created Mickey Mouse and then developed feature-length animated films like Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. These successes changed the way the world viewed animation and opened a new era for the entertainment industry. However, the life of a person always pursuing large projects also came with considerable pressure. Disney was famous for working very hard, often participating in the creative process and always wanting to turn bold ideas into reality. For many years, he maintained a smoking habit, especially unfiltered cigarettes, a habit once quite common in American society at that time. During this period, public awareness of the long-term impacts of smoking was not the same as it is today. In late 1966, Disney was hospitalized due to health issues, and doctors discovered he had lung cancer. The disease caused his health to decline rapidly, and just a short time later, he passed away at the age of 65. Walt Disney's passing was a major loss for the entertainment industry. However, what he created continues to grow through many generations. His story is not just about a founder of an entertainment empire, but also a story of the power of creativity and belief in ideas that seemed impossible. Before sound became an essential part of cinema, a generation of performers captivated audiences using only their eyes, facial expressions, and ability to tell stories through images. Buster Keaton was one of the greatest talents of that era. Known for maintaining an almost completely expressionless face in every situation, he earned the nickname the Great Stone Face and became one of the most iconic figures of Hollywood's silent film era. Unlike many comedians of his time, who relied on exaggerated expressions and over-the-top performances, Keaton developed his own unique style through subtlety, precision, and extraordinary physical control. In films such as The General and Sherlock Jr., he was not only an actor, but also performed many of his own dangerous stunts, creating moments that were both humorous and remarkably creative, inspiring generations of filmmakers and audiences that followed. However, Buster Keaton's life also reflected the major changes that transformed the film industry. When Hollywood entered the era of sound films, many artists from the silent film generation struggled to adapt to the changing landscape. Keaton also went through difficult periods as his career was no longer at the peak it had once reached. In his personal life, Keaton had a long history of smoking, a habit that was common in American society during that era. At the time, cigarettes were a frequent presence in the daily lives of many performers and were even viewed by some as part of their personal image and style. In his later years, Keaton's health began to decline. He faced lung-related issues and continued to live with the effects of habits from his earlier life. However, what remains most memorable about Buster Keaton is not those challenges, but his extraordinary creativity and his unwavering dedication to the art of filmmaking. Even though the world of cinema has changed dramatically, his works continue to be studied, appreciated, and celebrated by audiences and filmmakers around the world. The story of Buster Keaton proves that a true artist can transcend the limits of time because unique ideas and a passion for creativity can leave a lasting impact for generations. Even after many decades, Keaton's works continue to hold their value and remain deeply appreciated by audiences around the world. What do you think made him such an unforgettable icon of silent cinema? Share your thoughts in the comments and don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you won't miss our upcoming videos. In the memories of many American families, Michael Landon was more than just an actor. He was a familiar presence during countless evenings spent watching television. Through beloved series such as Bonanza, Little House on the Prairie, and Highway to Heaven, he became one of the most recognizable faces on American television for several decades. What made Landon especially remarkable was that he was not only a performer in front of the camera, he also took on roles as a writer, director, and producer for many of his own projects. The stories he created often focused on family compassion and human values, allowing him to build a special connection with audiences. Unlike many stars who became famous through glamorous images, Landon was admired for his warmth and relatability. On screen, he frequently portrayed characters with kindness and a strong sense of responsibility, reflecting the way he wanted to connect with viewers beyond the world of television. However, behind the image of an artist who always appeared energetic and optimistic was a life filled with many personal pressures. Throughout his many years in the entertainment industry, Landon maintained a smoking habit, which was common among many people in Hollywood and American society at the time. Like many individuals of his generation, he grew up during an era when awareness of the long-term effects of smoking was not the same as it is today. In 1991, Michael Landon was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. Although his period of treatment was relatively brief, he remained determined to maintain a positive outlook and continued making public appearances. He spoke openly about his condition while spending valuable time with his family and loved ones. Michael Landon passed away at the age of 54, but the stories he created continue to be cherished by audiences around the world. His legacy is not only defined by the number of projects he completed, but also by the warmth and sincerity he brought to millions of viewers. Michael Landon's life serves as a reminder that true success is not measured only by fame, but also by the ability to touch the hearts of others through the work one leaves behind. Some actors don't need to play overly dramatic characters to make an impact. David Janssen is a prime example. With his calm acting style, deep gaze, and ability to express subtle emotions, he became one of the most beloved faces on American television. Janssen's name is best associated with his role as Dr. Richard Kimball in The Fugitive. This character tells the story of a man searching for the truth on a difficult journey, and Janssen's authentic portrayal made the series one of the most memorable of the 1960s. Before achieving major success on television, Janssen spent many years working in the entertainment industry. He appeared in a variety of film and television projects, gradually building his reputation through professionalism and dedication rather than relying on the image of a glamorous celebrity. Like many Hollywood performers of his generation, Janssen lived during a time when smoking was a common part of everyday life and was widely seen throughout American society. He had smoked for many years, a habit common among actors, directors, and those working in the entertainment industry at the time. In his later years, Janssen's health began to deteriorate. He passed away in 1980 at the age of 48 after a heart attack. His death was a great loss to many colleagues and fans, as he still had much potential to continue contributing to the screen. However, what remains of David Janssen is not just the hardships of his life, but the roles that have made him a part of American television history. His story shows that an artist doesn't need to be the biggest star of their time to be remembered. Sometimes, sincerity in acting and the ability to connect with the audience are what create a lasting legacy. In Hollywood history, not everyone needs decades of a career to become a remembered name. John Cazale is a rare example, an actor with a short period of activity, but the works he participated in are among the classics of American cinema. Cazale began to be noticed through the stage before stepping onto the big screen. Unlike many stars famous for their appearance or large persona, his magnetism came from his authentic acting ability and depth in every character. The role of Fredo Corleone in The Godfather was one of his most memorable performances. This character was not the strongest in the Corleone family, but Cazale turned the vulnerability, hurt, and internal conflict into something audiences could never forget. The special thing is that almost all the feature films he participated in became significant works, including The Godfather, The Conversation, Dog Day Afternoon, and The Deer Hunter. This is a rare achievement in film history. But as his career was making significant developments, Cazale's life faced a major trial. He had a smoking habit for many years and was diagnosed with lung cancer in 1977. Despite declining health, Cazale still desired to continue his acting work. During the production of The Deer Hunter, the filmmakers tried to support him so he could complete his final role. John Cazale passed away in 1978 at the age of 42, when his career still had much potential ahead. But what is noteworthy is that his influence did not disappear. Many actors and filmmakers later still mention him as an artist with the ability to create characters full of life and emotion. John Cazale's story shows that the value of an artist does not lie in the number of works, but in the ability to leave a deep hallmark in every moment they appear on screen. The stories of Hollywood legends today show us that behind every icon is a real person with brilliant successes, personal choices, and unavoidable challenges in life. The legacy they leave behind lies not only in the film's roles or memorable moments on screen, but also in the lessons that subsequent generations can look back on and reflect upon. After looking back at the journeys of these Hollywood icons, what do you think is the biggest lesson we can draw? Share your perspective in the comments. If you love authentic stories about Hollywood and want to explore more untold perspectives, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications to accompany us in the upcoming videos. See you again in the journey to discover other special stories of the entertainment world.